Before getting into these definitions, these terms that hopefully you already have a fair amount of familiarity with, I want to try and build up the ideas that we're going to get to here using a sort of abstract example, sort of abstract thought. So, you watching this video, probably pretty important, and for the sake of a nice example here, for the sake of building that understanding, let's pretend that you, right where you are right now, are at the center of the universe. Everything is built around you.
You are not special. You are not a beautiful or unique snowflake. You are the same decaying organic matter as everything else.
Very solipsistic, but maybe a little pressure. Probably feels nice. Feels important, right? That's what I'm going for. But the trade-off for feeling very important, for feeling very central, for feeling very original, for those of you who might be thinking ahead, you kind of have some weird depth perception issues. You can see what's in front of you, but it's like you got blinders on. You got no idea what's going on unless it's dead ahead of you. It's like everything else is flat except that straight line in front of you, and you also kind of control like a broken tank. When you're standing, you can't handle turning very well. You can only really turn in one direction.
I'm not an ambi-turner.
And when you're turning, it's in 90-degree increments. So turn left pretty well, just like that. Hey, what a wonderful view you're going to have back here if you're like me. Oh, now you've come around and you're looking this way, and then you're back to where you started. So you've only got that sort of frame of reference to think about straight lines and straight, in a sense, turns. Well, if you want to get a sense of direction, you want to get a sense of distance, I can't move forward very much, but same way I can't move backward very much, you can still sort of get some sense in this way. And then if I was to turn, I could take a step in this direction, step back, step forward, and I've got something going for distance. Not a great deal, but it's a little bit. And then coming back around to this way, I've got the exact same sort of deal to work with. And then if I want to figure out where something else is, well, it's a little bit involved, but I could take that step forward I was talking about, turn, I'm breaking the rules a little bit, but I don't want to turn all the way around. I'm lazy. And then go over here, and, well, now I've discovered new lands, because I'm one up and one over, instead of just being one up or one over. I've got my own place now. It's a little bit further away from the center of the universe, but I know where it is, because I moved in those straight lines that I'm supposed to. And if you think about moving and location and positioning, I made a little bit wavier because it makes me a bit more expressive to not be quite so robotic. But if you think about it in terms of that sort of movement, then you're thinking in terms of the rectangular plane, in terms of positioning and spacing in the way that we generally graph things in 2 dimensions. If you think about talking in those forward, back, side-to-side motions, you'd end up describing your position in a grid, something like this. We have all of those different ways that you can go, but it's always just in terms of those little boxes of movement. We can make them wider, taller, but you can't really think diagonally so much, not just yet anyway. But, okay, you got something. Well, we can make this a little bit better. For one, it's a bit of ambiguity. If I go one in this direction or one in that direction, I don't feel like I should be calling them exactly the same thing. It feels wrong. It feels, well, ambiguous. It feels unclear. So, let's say, for the sake of being, judgmental against people who move to the left, that left is negative, and then down, obviously, it must also be negative. So let's make left and down our negative directions, up and right can be our positive directions, and now we have an even better sense of position, an even better sense of location in terms of those 4 options we can go where some are positive, some are negative, and we can then define a bit more about what's going on here. We can say that that point that we're talking about that you are at. Well, I am, for the sake of this video, because I feel pretty important.
And you're too
freaking
blonde!
That is what we're going to call the origin, because the center of the universe is the origin of everything around it, obviously. And then we're going to give these things some names. We're going to call those horizontal places you can go, that horizontal amount of movement. We'll call that the x-axis, the horizontal axis, and the vertical, up and down, we have vertical axis, which we will denote with a y. So if we want to talk about any position, we have an ordered pair to describe that location. X, comma, y, horizontal, vertical, where it's going to be a natural question to wonder why we do that, and I'll talk about that in the next video. But for now, hopefully we have some sense in terms of these movements, in terms of these places, of how the rectangular coordinate system works, because that's what we build a lot of our math around. And to help understand that just a little bit more, we're going to take a look at an example for plotting a couple of points. So for this example, we want to plot the points -2, 4, and 4, -2. Okay, so first blush, those two things look pretty similar, but we're going to see that they go to fairly different locations. In that first case, where we have the ordered pair, -4, 2, the phrase ordered pair has a specific meaning. We don't just call it a pair, we make it ordered because the order does matter, where we talk in terms of horizontal, then vertical. So if we think in terms of an axis, in terms of some description of location, and we're going -2, 4, that means we're going 2 units in the negative direction. We said left is negative, so we're going 2 to the left, and 4 in the positive direction, so that's 4 up, as it were. I don't think I can jump quite that high to make that point. It's not worth the risk. But the point is, we're going 2 left, 4 up, which would get us a picture on the axis, something like that. For our second case, if we want to talk about going to 4, -2, even though those are the same numbers, because they're a different order, we have to be careful at the fact that they are different locations. There, because we are looking at things with going 4 in the positive direction first, that means we are going 4 to the right, and yeah, it's a little bit off for me because I know I'm kind of mirrored for you guys, but we're going 4 to the right, and then -2, so that means we're going 2 down. So we're going to end up somewhere like that. So again, it's really important that when we're talking about these points, we're talking about these locations on the coordinate plane, on the rectangular plane, we've got other names for it too, that we know that we're talking about it in terms of horizontal, then vertical, where horizontal is connected to X things and vertical is connected to Y things. And it's kind of weird. It's kind of, well, said it a couple times already, but ambiguous as to why things work that way. And before we move on to talk about the more mathematical things that we're really here for, I want to take a bit of a philosophical tangent to provide a bit more context for the reason behind this mess of locations.